What's up, YouTube family? I'm back with another video. Finally. I know it's been a minute and I have missed you guys, but I'm back. I have been super duper busy in the salon, thanks to y'all. And I have tons of content that I can't wait to get out. But I'm actually starting a brand new series where we're going to talk about hair typing and hair characteristics, and I'm super excited about it. If you're not doing so already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and turn on your post notifications so you're notified first when I upload a video. But without further ado, let's get into it. So today I'm going to talk about porosity, all right, specifically low porosity. I know I've done videos where I'm styling low porosity hair, but I want to talk about it in detail. What is it? What does it mean? What's it for? So on and so forth. I know there's so much content out there, and products now are being made for, but what really is it? All right, so get your notebook out. Let's talk a little bit. Okay, so low porosity hair. Before I go into that, let's talk about what hair porosity is. All right, first of all, porosity is the hair's ability to retain and absorb moisture. Again, that's the ability to obtain and absorb moisture, more specifically water. Water often has to be the carrier for other moisturizing ingredients and oils and emollients and all that good stuff. So water is the thing we're focusing on here, all right? When you're dealing with low porosity hair, you have to look at the cuticle of the hair shaft. The cuticle is the outer layer of the hair. It's what opens and closes, so to speak, to allow things in or out. When you're dealing with low porosity hair, those cuticle layers almost look like roof shingles, very tight roof shingles. They're layered literally on top of each other, and it's very hard to open them. And it's also difficult to get things in between. There's very little space, so water, oil, things like that have a hard time often penetrating low porosity hair. I know some of you can relate. It takes you forever to get your hair wet, either in the sink or at the shampoo bowl. I know stylists can relate, clients can relate. Oftentimes, I know instantly when I'm dealing with low porosity hair, sometimes it takes me a good 2 to 5 minutes sometimes just running the water to get the hair saturated enough to actually start shampooing. Okay, that's a key characteristic of low porosity hair, is getting water inside the hair shaft. Because of that, dryness can sometimes be an issue for low porosity hair, simply because it's hard to get water in there, and because we use so much product today, especially for natural styling, that product can actually sit on top of the hair because it's not being absorbed and create a moisture barrier and block water from getting inside the hair shaft. That does happen too. Some things that help at the shampoo bowl in terms of getting the hair wet and properly cleansed, a clarifier always helps, because number one is going to bind to any minerals on top of the hair shaft, remove any debris, and actually has chelators in it that help with that. And also, most clarifiers will start to actually rough the cuticle up just a little bit. In a sense, they're trying to get that stuff in between it. So for low porosity hair, it's a good thing because it's going to start to open the cuticle up enough to take in your moisturizing shampoo, which follows that. Notice I didn't say a protein or a strength-based shampoo. While those are great and they have their purpose, you have to be very careful when it comes to low porosity hair when using protein. Most proteins actually tend to sit on top of the hair shaft, and if you're dealing with low porosity hair as it is, it's going to be difficult to get that protein inside the hair shaft to do what it needs to do. It sits on top, and then it's going to start to block out moisture on hair that already has an issue getting moisture in. All right, so unless you absolutely need a protein treatment, I know it's really big in the natural community. I know y'all probably want to chop my head off for saying it, and I don't care. Be weary or leery of your protein conditioners and treatments on low porosity hair. Okay, honestly, I just recommend you go see a professional and get a bonding system done. The molecules at a molecular level are so much more smaller, and they are highly water soluble, and like treatments like Olaplex, and are easy to get inside the hair shaft, more so than a synthetic animal protein would be. Okay, so back to the shampoo bowl. Make sure you shampoo it, moisturize it, condition it. The conditioning process, can't miss this. Low porosity hair needs heat. All right, you need to put the hair either under a steamer or under a dryer to ensure it has optimal penetration. It needs heat for those conditioning agents to get inside the hair shaft. Also, make sure your conditioners are more water based. They need to be almost like milk like in consistency. Okay, I know the logical thing to do sometimes would be, well, because it's not absorbent, I need thicker product to sit on the hair shaft so it can absorb and take its time. That's actually not what you want to do. If you put thicker product on top of a low porosity hair shaft, it's literally going to sit there. It's not going inside. The hair is not going to reap any benefits, it's going to end up just as dry as you started. Okay, it needs water, and it needs water soluble products to get inside the hair shaft. A popular ingredient, I know, I'm gonna get in so much trouble today with this video. A popular ingredient in a lot of products that I've seen come under fire lately on YouTube by some influencers is glycerin. All right, if you don't know what glycerin is, it is a water soluble natural vegetable product. It comes from plants and vegetables, but what it does is actually a humectant. It is a great humectant. It attracts water to the hair shaft, binds water to the hair shaft. All right, people have not liked glycerin so much in past days because they feel like, it could be drying, or I don't like the way it sits on my hair shaft. You have to be very careful to read the ingredient list and figure out what type of glycerin it is. If it is a vegetable glycerin or a plant-based glycerin, it's great for the hair shaft. If it is synthetic and petroleum based or derived from another type of oil, then it's dangerous for the hair shaft, and you don't want to use that. So just read the ingredient list and pay attention. But glycerin is a great humectant. If you live in extremely humid environments, what it's going to do is actually pull water from the air and pull it towards the hair shaft. All right, so for low porosity hair, that's great. That means your hair is constantly being moisturized for the long term by the product that's left behind in the hair. Now that's going to go more so for leave-in conditioners. Glycerin in a conditioner is going to hydrate the hair and help water bind to the hair shaft during the conditioning process, and then once you go to re-wet the hair and rinse it out, the glycerin is going to actually rinse out of the hair because it's water soluble. So that's more so applicable to leave-in conditioners. But for your basic conditioner or your deep conditioner, make sure it does have glycerin in it because it helps with hydration on low porosity hair. All right, leave-in conditioners, again, make sure you look for glycerin or some lightweight product. Also, rose water is great for hydrating the hair after conditioning steps. So as long as that's in your leave-in conditioner, that's great. Products you want to avoid for low porosity hair is alcohol, and not all alcohols are bad. I'll do another video in a minute on the war on silicones, parabens, alcohols, and sulfates, because I can preach all day about it. But certain alcohols are bad for the hair, while certain other ones are great for the hair. Okay, bad alcohols: alcohol denat, alcohol D, SB, SBD, all them different labels. It's denatured alcohol. It has a low molecular weight, so what happens is it's great for products because it means they don't weigh a lot, they won't lay the hair down, and in a lot of cases the alcohol tends to evaporate before it even hits the hair shaft, and the other ingredients are propelled onto the hair shaft. While that's great in theory, we all know that most of us, when we apply a product on our hair, naturalistas are not applying product to the hair 10 inches away from the hair. We putting it right on there. So that alcohol is hitting the hair shaft, it is hitting the ends, and most of the time we're saturating our hair, it's drying the hair out. All right, so avoid that product as much as possible when it comes to heat protectants, and when it comes to leave-in conditioners. I stand by that. I think it's a thing, and you don't want to dry the hair shaft out, especially hair that's already having an issue pulling in moisture. Now, low porosity hair does not have so much of an issue retaining moisture. It's an issue getting it inside. Once you got it in there, you'll notice it's going to take you forever to dry this hair. If you're air drying, it's going to probably be wet the next day if you put it up in the bun. Blow drying takes longer because once you've gotten water in it, it don't want to let it go, and that's a good thing because it's going to stay hydrated. So you will notice over time length retention is a lot easier for low porosity hair. It's not as prone to splits. And another inherent property of low porosity hair is high definition shine. As you can see, her hair is like shining off the charts. Guys, the only thing in here is a lightweight leave-in and a lightweight heat protectant. There are no serums, oils, creams, nothing in her hair. Low porosity hair just shines on its own because that cuticle layer is so tight, it looks like a mirror almost. And that's another sign on any hair that you've properly sealed the cuticle. You'll start to see shine. But this shine is genetic. I'm gonna say that again. This shine is genetic. While products are great and they do aid in increasing shine in the hair shaft, they're not responsible for shine alone. That comes from a polished, closed, smooth cuticle, and it's easier to do that on low porosity hair. All right. When it comes to heat styling, low porosity hair does not need as much heat to straighten and smooth. Again, because that cuticle layer is so tight, it tends to smooth out a little bit easier. And again, you want to be careful with products on this hair type because they do tend to sit on top. One thing I recommend, if you're applying a leave-in conditioner, allow it to sit on the hair for like 5 to 7 minutes before you go in with your next product, because that gives the leave-in conditioner a chance to kind of go past the cuticle layer and do its thing. If you just put it on top and just go right in, more than likely you're going to blow it right of the cuticle because it hasn't had a chance to absorb. All right, so use lightweight products when styling, because again, those products are going to sit on top of the hair shaft, and if you go too heavy, you'll tend to weigh it down because the hair actually is not going to suck it up. Using more product on low porosity hair does not mean a better result. I know it's tempting to do that when you're applying conditioner or creams and stuff like that, and it just seems like it's sitting on top. If you just keep applying product, you're just going to wash that product down the drain, or end up with this little ashy cast on the hair shaft because the hair can't absorb the product. It just can't. All right, so less is more when it comes to low porosity hair, and more milky consistency in terms of the product. All right, heavy products just sit on top and weigh it down. It's not going to absorb it. I don't care what you do, it's not going in. All right, another thing you'll notice with high porosity hair, after you put it under heat with a dryer, you will see that it almost looks like you put nothing on it when you come from underneath that, and that's a good sign. That means that the heat has actually done its job in pushing the product into the cuticle and letting it absorb into the hair shaft. Okay, now this video I actually did slow down when I get to this part because I wanted you guys to see the entire trim in great detail. Most of my guests, I'm finding that are making their way back to the salon, honestly, because of pandemic, guys. They have not had trims in a year or 6 months, stuff like that, and I don't fault anybody for that. We've been trapped in the house. It's hard. People gotta figure it out, and the last thing we want to figure out is how to cut our own hair. It could be a catastrophe, and we don't want that. So my client has not had a trim in, I think, over about a year actually. So not too bad. You'll notice that low porosity hair can go longer without trims. This is where genetics really comes into play. Certain hair lengths, certain hair types are attributed to genetics. I know you out here buying your favorite YouTubers products. I said that, and you see the person on the ad who made the product and her hair is long. I'm gonna buy it. Baby, it's genetics. She's always had long hair, and regardless of whether she could probably put that hair under great abuse and still maintain length, it's genetics. Okay, let's stop curl chasing. Let's stop length chasing. You got what you got. She got what she got. It's all good hair. Okay, but back to my point. This is genetics, guys, where low porosity hair can tend to go longer lengths of time without trims, without the risk of breakage or splitting, only because those cuticle layers are so tight. There's much more resistance. It will dry out for sure, and it can split, but you will see more length retention on this hair type. All right. When you're trimming, it's very important, guys. I always show my guests what I'm going to trim before I trim it. You just didn't see it in this video. I actually cut that out, but I usually have a piece of white paper where I show them and give them a mirror so they can see where their hair needs to be trimmed, and then I let them decide. I'll say that again. I let them decide where they want to trim their hair. And well, Trav, you're the professional, you know what's best. Yeah, I may, but I don't live with her hair. It's her hair. Let her decide and make them a part of the process. It starts to build security. It starts to build trust. And we as stylists have to acknowledge there is a breach of trust behind the chair right now. And y'all can lie and say whatever you want to say. I know it to be so because they sit in my chair every day and tell me about their horror experiences. And I'm sure, at some point someone may have sat in my chair and they may feel the same way because I've been a stylist for them. I get it. But we have to establish trust behind the chair, and that starts with doing what they ask. At the end of the day, you are a service provider. I know you don't want to hear that because you think you are the world. I do too. I'm special. But at the end of the day, I am a service provider. It's my job to provide a service, and they're paying me, so I have to do what they ask. Okay, if Susie want to hold on to 9 inches of dead ends, I'm going to let Susie hold on to 9 inches of dead ends and build trust with her till eventually Susie comes in and says, you know what? I see what you've been saying. Go ahead and do what you need to do. You establish trust that way, and 9 times out of 10, you'll have a return client versus you just doing what you want to do and what you think is best. If they didn't ask you what's best, don't give them what's best. Give them what they ask. You are a service provider, and we have to reestablish that in the hair care industry. You are not a god. You are not a celebrity. You are a service provider. I know y'all don't want to hear that. I know we don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. Anyway, back to this trim. Also, she does not have layers. She's pretty much just wears her hair in a wash, go up in a bun, and she likes the shape of her hair. Another thing I always ask my guests that go back and forth between natural and straight, I ask them, how do you like the shape of your hair when it's curly? If they say they like it where it is, and we are doing a trim on straightened hairs today, I'm careful to pull the hair out in natural fall so I don't alter the shape of her haircut. We're not trying to reestablish a new haircut. We're just trying to clean up the dead ends, and you do that by lifting the hair up in a natural elevation and cutting the hair in natural fall. If I lift the hair up over direct, anything like that, you're going to start to layer the hair, and you will change the shape of her hair when she wears it curly. If you cut it in natural fall, it will land the same way every time. All right, so be very intentional about that. Now, if I have a guest that says, you know, I don't like the shape of my curls, it's not sitting right, 9 times out of 10 what I'm going to do is actually wet the hair down. I want to see it curly, and I will adjust the curly shape of it, then blow dry and straighten it, and then clean the ends up that way. Okay, but just pay attention to that. That's another thing to look for, especially if a guest goes back and forth. Okay. But you can see the shine on her hair. It's natural. There isn't a lot of product. I'm just going back through here and just bumping the ends of her hair. She doesn't want it curled necessarily, but she does want a little life to it, so she can wrap it. I do lower the temperature of my irons. I've said this in previous videos when I go back to curl or style, so just make sure you do that. The proper heat setting for low porosity hair really depends on the density and the hair texture itself. If she has low porosity hair but it's fine, obviously I'm going to use less heat than I would on somebody who had thick or coarse low porosity hair. Totally different hair type, needs a totally different type of attention when it comes to heat. You have to pay attention to those details. Again, I said it in the previous videos, as a stylist, what I do to help myself reset between clients is I turn all my tools off. I reset my station, turn all my irons off, reset products. I actually put products back. I do this in between every client, because what it does to me is unconsciously signal this to somebody else. I have to readjust and start over. If you're using the same irons, the same products, the same settings on every client, somebody's going to get heat damage, or somebody's going to have a bad result, because you've made it cookie cutter at that point, and it's not a cookie cutter experience. Every single head of hair is totally different and should be treated as such. All right, adjust your temperature as such, adjust your product usage and the product type as such, and just pay attention to details. It's what's going to set you apart from a cookie cutter stylist, and it means someone who's actually invested in hair care. Ladies, one thing that's important, I know we see hair like this, oh my god, her hair is so healthy and this, that, and the third. This is honestly, guys, just part of this is genetics. Again, she's a very low maintenance person. She told me 9 times out of 10 her hair is either in the wash and go, it's up in the bun. And usually because of her hair type, you know, you can get away with that. Whereas someone like, you know, me, or someone that has high porosity hair, if I do that, and I'm gonna wake up the next morning and the whole middle of my head is gonna be gone. Okay, so you have to adjust your regimen for your hair type, and really just take that in consideration. Some things are genetic, and then other things are about consistency and regimen. All right, but there's more videos coming. My next video actually is going to be on high porosity hair. Stay tuned at the end of this video. I have an important announcement about March for Us 2021. My friend Ashley Munson, who's a great activist, actually put together a beautiful march here in Chicago, and she's doing it again this year, and I'm going to run this video until you guys show up in June in Chicago. All right, but I love you. Like and subscribe. See you guys soon. All right.
No longer waiting on permission. This is our time. This is our turn. We're marching for us.